Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Rashti Hari Radha Rashti Hari Radhe Jaya Gaurangi Bangaloreshwar Gaurangi Bangaloreshwar Gaurangi Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Yashoda Jaya Sudarshana Jaya Lakshmi Narsimha Jaya Ananta Dev Prahlad Lakshmi Jaya Ananta Dev Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Nitai Chaitanya Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Jaya Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jai Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Nitai Gaur Hari Gaur, Hari Gaur. Hari Bol, Sai Gaura, Hari Bol. गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। इनाम संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत। His divine grace अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत। His divine grace श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरदास ठाकुर की जय। जय श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ शत गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण चंद्र गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। मायापुर नवदीप धाम की जय। श्री क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। द्वारिका धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। कावेरी माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories and glories and glories and glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतं सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुलङ्गायतिं गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदिनतारिणं परमानन्दं माधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वर। हरि ओम तत्सत्। Hare Krishna. So we're reading from Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam. We currently going through the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. This canto is all talking about the devotional service, and today we're going to be reading the 39th and the 40th verse of chapter 29. Okay. Let me share the screen with all of you. न चास्य कश्चिदयितो न द्वेषो न च बान्धवा अविष्यति अपरामतोऽसौ परमत्तं जनम् अन्तकृतं। न चास्य कश्चिदयितो न द्वेषो न च बान्धवा avishyati aparamato pramattam gnanam antakritam na chasya kaschid daito na dvesho na cha bandhava avishyati aparamato pramatam janmamantakritam. Word to word translation. Na, not, cha, and, asya, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, kaschet, anyone, daita, dear, na, not, dvesha, enemy, na, not, cha, and, bandhava, friend, avishyati, approaches, apramata, attentive, asau, he, pramatam, inattentive, janam, persons, antakrita, the destroyer. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. No one is dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, nor is anyone his enemy or friend, but he gives inspiration to those who have not forgotten him and destroys those who have. Purport by His Divine Grace, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Forgetfulness of one's relationship with Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the cause of one's repeated birth and death. A living entity is an eternal as the Supreme Lord, but due to his forgetfulness, he is put into the material nature and transmigrates from one body to another. And when the body is destroyed, he thinks that he is also destroyed. Actually, his forgetfulness of his relationship with Lord Vishnu is the cause of his destruction. Anyone who revives his consciousness of the original relationship receives inspiration from the Lord. This does not mean that the Lord is someone's enemy or someone else's friend. He helps everyone. One who is not bewildered by the influence of material energy is saved, and one who is bewildered is destroyed. It is therefore said, Harim vinanamritim taranti. No one can be saved from the repetition of birth and death without the help of the Supreme Lord. It is therefore the duty of all living entities to take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu and thus save themselves from the cycle of birth and death. We will also continue the next verse, which is the 40th verse. Sorry, allow me a minute. It is taking a little longer than what it should. Here we have the 40th verse. Yad bhayadvati vatoyam suryastapati yad bhayata yad bhayad varsate devo bhagno bhati yad bhayat. Word to word translation for the 40th verse. Yad, for whom the Supreme Personality of Godhead, bhayat, out of fear, vati, blows, vata, the wind, ayam, this, surya, sun, tapati, shines, yat, of whom, bhayat, out of fear, yat, of whom, bhayat, out of fear, varsate, sends rain, deva, the god of rain, Bhagana, the host of heavenly bodies, Bhati shines, Yat of whom, Bhayat out of fear. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Out of fear of Supreme Personality of Godhead, the wind blows out. Out of fear of Him, the sun shines. Out of the fear of Him, the rain pours forth waters. And out of fear of him, the host of heavenly bodies shed their lustre. Purport: The Lord states in Bhagavad Gita, Mayadhyashena Prakriti Suryat. Nature is working under my direction. The foolish person thinks that nature is working automatically, but such an atheist technology theory is not supported in the Vedic literature. Nature is working under the superintendence of Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, and we also find here that the sun shines under the direction of the Lord, and the clouds forth with showers of the rain under the direction of the Lord. All natural phenomena are under the superintendence of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Om Tat Sat. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport to Canto 3 of Srimad Bhagavatam, 39th verse and 40th verse of chapter 29. Om Tat Sat. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshururmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatamitam Tam Sachivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patita Nam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So very nice explanation here by Srila Prabhupada on the purport. And as we see that Srila Prabhupada is talking about that there is nobody who's dear to the Lord, there is nobody who is not dear to the Lord. But at the same time, Srila Prabhupada also very categorically mentions that one who is favorable to the God, he takes care of him well. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, that everybody is equal to him. He is not favorable to anybody. But those who worship him, those who actually like him, he takes care of them well. It is very, very natural. Even in the material world that we see, we cannot compare the material world with spiritual world. We cannot compare the Lord with human beings, but we are all part and parcel of the Lord. While we are all part and parcel of the Lord, we tend to behave like the Lord. Yeah. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada very clearly inclines that, forgetfulness of one's relationship. The bigger problem that we have is here is that we're forgetting the Lord, or we're forgetting our relationship with the Lord. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are part and parcel of it. We are Anu, he is Vibhu. He is controlling everything. That is the cause of one's repeated birth and death. Birth and death is not something very nice for devotees. It is not nice for anybody, but only devotees understand that it is not nice. And that is where the realization comes, saying that I have to finish my business in this lifetime itself and go back to Godhead. Now, a living entity, as we earlier said, that he is part and parcel of Krishna. He is also eternal, and the Supreme Lord is also eternal. But due to his forgetfulness, he forgets that he is eternal. And that is the reason that he's put into this material nature and transmigrates from one body to another body, depending on the karmas that he performs. And when each body is destroyed while he's taking repeated birth and death, he thinks that he is also destroyed. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of us also had this conception, and a lot of them still have this conception in the material world, saying that, when we are born, this body is given to us. And once the body dies, we also die. We don't really understand the distinction between the body and the soul. We combining it together. It is like when the petrol is over in the Gadi, that means the Gadi is dead. No, if you add petrol to it, the Gadi will move. At the same time, when the soul transmigrates from one body to another body, there is life which is happening, but we don't recognize that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. And as spirit souls, we have to understand our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The forgetful of his relationship with Vishnu is the cause of all these destructions that happen. Everyone who revives, our relationship with Krishna is very, very unique. Everybody has an individual relationship. It's not like a herd mentality. The Lord has one-to-one relation with everybody. And at the same time, if one can revive his relationship, the original relationship, he receives the inspiration from the Lord. Yeah. And again, Srila Prabhupada in the purport mentions that it does not mean that the Lord is somebody's enemy or he's somebody's friend. No. He is equal to everybody. He helps even those who do not respect him. Yeah. Or those who do not even recognize him. So, Srila Prabhupada in the purport says one who is not bewildered by the influence of material nature is saved. So, Krishna helps them. Those who are not bewildered by the influence of material nature are who? Those people who do not want to take birth again, or those who are devotees, those who recognize Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are not bewildered by the influence of the material nature, and Krishna helps them. On the other side, those who are bewildered by the material nature are destroyed by him. Okay. It is therefore said that Harim Vina Na Amritim Taranti. No one can be saved from the repetition of birth and death without the help of the Supreme Lord. So if somebody says that I am my guru, I don't need a guru, I can always connect with Krishna directly. No, that's actually not the fact. And some of those people also say that, I will go back home, back with my own, tendency of going back. So it is not possible for anybody to go back home with their own endeavor. It is the support, and it is also the blessings of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that somebody is saved from the repetition of birth and death. And then finally, Srila Prabhupada says, it is therefore the duty of all living entities to take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu and thus save themselves from the cycle of birth and death. Now, the cycle of birth and death is not an easy thing to continue. It's the most toughest job that you can really look at it. 2-3 days back, we were discussing on Bhagavad Gita, and there the conversation happened saying that those who are devotees, there are two types of devotees, those who have started some bhakti and those who are actually transcendental, who've reached a certain level in bhakti. But then at times, because of their own, not completion path, so, partially they start and somehow they get deviated and they lose that body. So what happens is when they do not complete the path, but they get deviated and they have some material desire, they are given birth in a higher planetary system. And in the higher planetary system, there is so much of enjoyment, there is so much of material enjoyment, there is so much of sensual enjoyment. Everything is to the peak. There in the purport, Srila Prabhupada has also told that, here in our body, as we age, or when we catch up with disease, our bodily energy goes down. Whereas in the higher planetary systems, Svargaloka and the other higher planetary systems, the energy levels are the same right at the birth till the time that they leave that body. So there is no diminution of their strength. At the same time, the pleasures which are given, the material pleasures, also are of the peak. It is also said people enjoy with Soma Rasa and all of that. But then every sense gratification or every material thing has to come to an end. So there, despite they're doing the bhakti going up, Krishna ensures that they come back, take a birth in an aristocratic family, or they take birth in a Vaishnava or a Brahmana family and continue from where they have left. This is a very special mercy of the Lord. It is not very easy for everybody to get this mercy. This can be got only by those devotees who've started their path of bhakti. They've somehow started the path of bhakti, but they've not completed it. They're not able to complete it in that lifetime. So Krishna gives them another opportunity. And that opportunity is given, and he or she, that soul that we're talking about, starts from where they had left. So, for example, if somebody has completed 34% of their spiritual activity, and unfortunately, because of their engagement or their, desire for material pleasure, they leave the path of bhakti and they somehow leave the body. Krishna gives them another body, takes them to the higher planetary system. At the higher planetary system, they enjoy whatever material, influence that they wanted to have, and then they are pushed back into the Earth planet. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita saying that even if you are in the higher planetary system, it is not possible for you to go back home, back to Godhead from higher planetary system. One needs to come to Earth. One needs to come to Bhuloka. Only at this level, somebody can practice Krishna consciousness well and go back home, back to Godhead. It's not like this higher planetary system is at a higher level and so is Golok Vrindavan. So they directly go from this to this. No, it's not possible. Even if they are here, they have to come down to Earth, Bhuloka, practice, perfect their life, and go back home, back to Godhead, which is again the highest planetary system, I can call it as. And that is Krishna Loka. But at the same time, one needs to realize that if at all we take our spiritual life very, very light, we know that it is very important for us to have the spiritual life. But sometimes we tend to take it very light. We don't chant our rounds properly. We don't chant our rounds many times. We say, it's okay, ek din chanting nahi hoga to chalega. Tomorrow I will do it. No, that's not the way. When you have committed something, when you are on the path of spiritual progress, once you have committed something, you have to keep up to it. And many times that we find devotees are not able to chant their rounds, and they confess about it very, very openly, saying that I have been in Krishna consciousness for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, but I'm still not getting the taste of chanting. Now, why are we not getting the taste of chanting? Because we say practice makes a man perfect. We've been practicing this for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever number of years that one is in Krishna consciousness. But then we don't get the taste of it. When we don't love, it should come spontaneously. That love doesn't really come on us. The only problem with us is we bring this mind into position. We say, Prabhu, I'm not able to chant. When I start chanting in the morning, my mind goes elsewhere. So Srila Prabhupada said, this is between your tongue and your ear. Where is your mind coming? Your mind is somewhere here. Your tongue is here and your ear is here. So this is a connection that you have to make. You have to speak, you have to chant, you have to loudly chant and hear the same thing by your ears. So these are the only two organs which are supposed to be interconnected or involved into it. But what happens is we try to get another specialist, the so-called mind, and he starts disrupting. We start thinking about our services. We start thinking about our relationship with devotees. We start thinking about, our day-to-day activities that we are supposed to do. We start thinking about the next festival that is going to come up. This is all on the spiritual platform, but still, it hampers our chanting. Even for devotees who are full-timers, it becomes a problem because they think, okay, I have to cook today. So I think 9 o'clock, I have to get into the kitchen. I have service from 9 to 12. And then 12 o'clock, I'll finish it. And after 12 o'clock, I will do such and such thing. And then I will take some rest. And then I will go out and then I will preach. Then I will go out for Sankirtan. I will go for book distribution, all that. So Srila Prabhupada very clearly says that the connection between the mouth and the ear has to be established. One needs to very attentively chant the holy name of the Lord. And while chanting the holy name of the Lord, the mind should not come in the way. And when we do that, we are at a platform where we are really chanting the holy name very, very nicely. And this is the basis for somebody to save themselves from the cycle of birth and death, chanting. At the same time, we also talk about hearing. We should not get worried about what is happening. Our mind should be ekagrata, focused only at one location, saying that if I am reading from third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is regarding Mother Devahuti getting instructions from Kapila Muni or Kapila Dev. My mind should be only rotating around these instructions which Lord Kapila is giving to his mother and understand it very, very well, and it should go into our heart. Whereas, we are thinking about Kapila Muni giving instructions to his mother, how a mother can take instructions from her son, the age differences there. We start going into this mental platform. Our mind starts thinking in a different directions because we are in the material world, and in the material world, we think that this is not possible. We think that mother can never take instructions from his son. The mother should always give instructions to his son. How can the son become bigger than the mother? How can the son become a bigger devotee than mother? Whereas if we see, soul has we do not know the age of the soul. Yeah, today you may say that I am 50 years, 52 years, 55 years, but then we don't know the actual age of our soul. The soul has been just going round and round and round around the 84 lakh species. And this, every lifetime that we see, every species that we are in, we find it very, very difficult. So one should not come into the material platform of age, relationship, qualification to understand or hear about the holy name of the Lord. When we are hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, all these ideas should just be out of our mind. We should only focus on what Mother Devahuti is getting instructions from Kapila Dev. And what are the valid questions that Mother Devahuti is asking Kapila Muni, saying that how do I practice, and how is the person who practices the bhakti, and what are the various processes of our bhakti, and how a devotional life can be really progress. Our goal has to be only that, and not thinking, today I think I have to go out for Damodar Aarti, I think 7 o'clock, but if I have to reach at 7 o'clock, I'll have to start by 6 o'clock from here because of the traffic. Leave all that aside. Yes, you have a service in the evening. Think about the service at 5, 6 in the evening. Currently, you're focusing in the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Let your mind be here in the Bhagavatam class. Just hear attentively. Understand it and don't interpret. Don't try to interpret your mind. So just hear what Srila Prabhupada has said. Just hear to what the Acharyas have said. If there are commentaries by the Acharyas, look at what commentaries have been given by the Acharyas. That is very, very important. So this is one part of it which one needs to really look at it. Secondly, the Lord actually takes care of everybody, whether an atheist or a devotee. He is not against anybody. It is not that, unless the atheist become demons, the Lord becomes his enemy. It's actually the atheist who feel that the Lord is my enemy. Lord never tells that you are my enemy. Have you ever heard in any of Srimad Bhagavatam classes or anywhere else, well, the Lord says, he is my enemy? He has never declared that. Krishna always says that they are my children. Yeah, there may be bad children, there may be good children. Bad children may be punished, and good children may be given a pat at their back. But he is not an enemy to anybody. Yeah. When one becomes a daitya, a demon, then only the Lord comes into picture. And that also he says very clearly, that I come to annihilate the miscreants and save the devotees. Now, these are two extremes. It doesn't mean that he is against the demons. Okay, this point needs to be understood very, very clearly, saying that he's not against the demons. But just because they have taken a path which is not right, just because they have started troubling the devotees, that is where Krishna takes the arms and goes against them. In the whole battlefield of Kurukshetra, if you see, Krishna has never told that Kauravas are my enemies. He never declared it anyway. He never took shastras at all. He never took any of the weapons to fight against the Kauravas. He just helped the devotees. Arjuna was a devotee. Pandavas were all great devotees of the Lord. So he said, yes, I will help you. I will be your friend. I'm your friend. I will continue to be there. And in the following verse, Srila Prabhupada talks about the complete planetary system. He talks about the wind blowing. says it is out of the fear of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The wind is blowing. And out of the fear, the sun shines. And out of the fear, it rains. And out of fear for him, a host of these heavenly bodies, which are moving around, the planets and all of that, shed their luster. And this very clearly says that the nature, Mother Nature, is working around my direction. Many times that people say, I have done this. I have built this. I have built this skyscraper. I have built this canal. I have built this bridge. No. It's a foolish person's thinking. Some people say, I have done this irrigation. Irrigation is done by Krishna. You are just an instrument who goes and plants the tree there, who puts in some water. But it is Krishna who actually gives the germinating seed, and the plant grows up, or the irrigation happens. The seeds fructify into being grains and all of that. Yeah. Can you ever think of anybody creating a beautiful flower? I'm sure all of us have seen flowers, and when we see flowers, we many times wonder who has actually painted them. Do we have anybody who can say, I have painted? Let's look at this picture. Let me just open. I've opened a flower here. I will just share it with you. 1 second. Let me just share the screen. Yeah, you see beautiful flower here. And this flower, if you see, there are different colors of flowers which are there in the same tree. There are green leaves, there are red, then there is kind of burgundy. Here you see the flowers. Yeah, here you see. Is it possible for somebody to, create these flowers? It's something absolutely impossible. Not possible at all. Can you see this beautiful color of flowers? There's, some kind of a pattern into this. Can a human being, can a material being paint such flowers, or even make such flowers? It's not possible at all. It is because the mercy of the Lord. See, there's a lighter shade, there's a darker shade, there's even more a darker shade. All of these things, people many times think that, we are the creator. We are not creator. We can't even create, a small thing. It is only because of Krishna's mercy. Krishna creates everything, and he is only able to give us. So one needs to realize that whatever is happening because of the mercy of the Lord. And mercy of the Lord is very easy to get when one becomes a devotee of the Lord. All natural phenomena are under the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, is what very clearly it is said. Yeah. So we should not feel big about saying, oh, I'm creating this. You are just an instrument. Krishna allows you to do something, you can do it. Otherwise, it's practically not possible for you to even create a small being, One needs to understand that. And this is the kind of faith that one should really have. So there's a very nice story which I would like to narrate. We all know Narad Muni. Narad Muni is a great devotee of the Lord, and he has this transcendental quality that he can travel from one planet to another planet anytime, anywhere. And he's always chanting the holy name of the Lord. He's always glorifying the Lord. So there was one time that Narad Muni, came to this earthly planet, and then he meets nice Brahmana, and they exchange pleasantries, they greet each other, and then Narad Muni is talking about his well-being, and then this Brahmana, who's a devotee of the Lord, asks a question saying that, how is my Lord Narayana doing? So Narad Muni says, he's all okay. So he says, I have a request if you can really help me. So Narad Muni says, yes, I can always try. So he says, can you ask the Lord as to when will I get liberated from this material nature? Yeah, Brahmanas are generally brought up in a very nice way. They know the Shastras, they read the Shastras, they are brought up to the deity worship. They're supposed to be teaching the Shastras to others, and they're always, generally speaking, they're generally practicing Krishna consciousness. They are devotees of the Lord. So he says, can you please ask the Lord, when am I going back home, back to Bharat? So Lord Vishnu, Narad Muni says, yes, when I meet Lord Vishnu, I will be able to check. I will check with Narayana. I will check with the Supreme Personality of God and then come back to you. As he moves on earthly planet, he meets another, a chamar. A chamar is a person who works with leather. And there also, the chamar gives Narad Muni a great place to sit down, gives him all the respect. And, also talking about the well-being of the chamar. So Narad Muni is asking, how are you able to practice bhakti? So he says, yeah, I practice it. I practice my profession. But in the rest of the time, I put my efforts in chanting, reading, hearing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he also has a request saying that, can you check with the Lord as to when will I be liberated? When will I go back home, back to Godhead? I would like to complete this journey which I have started. So Narad Muni says, yes, next time when I see Lord Narayan, I will come back to you. I'll check with him and then tell you. So he goes and checks. He goes back to Vaikuntha, and then Lord Narayana is taking rest. And he tells Lord Narayana, saying that I went on earthly planet, and then I had this two devotees who I met, and both of them had a similar question, saying that when will I come back home, back to Godhead? So Lord, I would like to know from you as to when these two devotees can come back. So Lord Vishnu says, or Lord Narayan says, well, they've asked a question, I will ask you another question. Maybe you should go and tell them and seek an answer for it. So instead of my giving a direct answer, you should also ask, while you're giving this direct answer, you should also ask a question to these two people. So he says, what is the question that I should ask? So, you go back to the earth, and then, when you meet these two devotees, Brahmana is also a devotee. It's not that he's not a devotee. So he says, ask Brahmana as well as this cobbler, the chamar, or rather tell them that, I was trying to put the elephant through the eye of a needle. We've all seen how big is the eye of a needle. At times we find it very difficult to even put a small thread, a thin thread through the eye of the needle. So Narad Muni takes the instructions of Lord Narayan and goes down to Earth planet, and then he says, he again meets them, and they ask him what happened. So he says, yeah, I met Lord Narayan, but he was very busy. Oh, what was my Lord doing there? So he says, Lord was actually trying to put the elephant through the eye of a needle. So when he meets Brahmana and tells him that, he was trying to put the elephant through the eye of the needle, the Brahmana says, are you sure, Narad Muni? Are you talking about Lord Narayan? Are you absolutely fine? Did you really go to Vaikuntha and check, or you're just joking with me? Or are you just trying to pull a fast one on me? So Narad Muni says, no, I was actually there in Vaikuntha, and Lord Narayan was actually trying to put the elephant through the eye of the needle. So, okay, no problem. But anyway, next time when you meet the Lord, please check about my question, which I have asked. So he says, fine, no problem. And as he moves forward, he meets the cobbler, the chamar, and he's checking with him as to what the Lord was doing and what are the activities that are happening in the Vaikuntha planet. So Narad Muni says that the Lord was busy. I couldn't answer I couldn't get an answer to your question. So the cobbler says, what was the Lord busy with? So he says, he was trying to put an elephant through the eye of a needle. So he says, wow, that's nice. I'm sure the Lord will be able to put through. So hearing this answer, Narad Muni gets really perplexed, saying that when I told the Brahmana, I said, it's not possible. Are you really speaking the truth? Are you, did you really go to Vaikuntha, or you just are making mockery of me? And here, When I tell this cobbler, who's a very simple man, who's also a devotee of the Lord, he doesn't have too much of complications in his life. He says, yes, very nice. I'm sure it is possible. So Narad Muni asks a question, do you think it is possible to put elephant through the eye of the needle? So the cobbler says, yeah, why not? Who says it is not possible? Everything is possible for the Lord. The Lord can do anything. If he plants a small tree, a banyan tree comes out of it. A small tree, a small seed. With a small seed, if the Lord can create a huge banyan tree, what are we talking about putting the elephant through the eye of the needle? It is practical. And for my Lord, who can create this material world, who can create the spiritual world, everything is possible. There is no doubt about it. So that is the kind of confidence that the devotees have. Many times, here coming back to the purport, many times people think, how can the Lord control the sun? How can he control the rain? How can he control the wind? How can he control the planetary systems? They get these doubts, though they are devotees. I'm not saying, they don't believe in the Lord. They are not atheist. They believe in the Lord, but then they get this question. So we should never have such questions in our mind. Just to conclude the story, the Lord then asked Narad Muni as to what happened when he told them about passing the elephant through the eye of the needle. And then Narad Muni narrates, saying that the Brahmana said, you're joking with me, you're pulling a fast one on me. But the cobbler very readily accepted it, saying that, yeah, it is possible. And then he also gave me an example saying that if you plant a small tree, a big banyan tree can come out. It is only possible by the Lord. So there, the Lord gives an answer to the question that the Narad Muni, the cobbler as well as the Brahmana asked. Narad Muni gets the answer. He says this, Brahmana, though who is a devotee of me but does not have so much of faith in me, will take many, many lifetimes to come back, many, many lifetimes to perfect his spiritual path and then come back to me. But this cobbler, who's very simple man, not very educated, not very intelligent in that sense of being intelligent, has full faith in me, and he will come back in the very same lifetime. So the conclusion of the story is saying that when there is something given in our Shastras, we should just follow it. When there is something said in our Shastras, we should just accept it. We should never put our intelligence into it, because this mind will take you elsewhere. Because he tries to control you, whereas you should be controlling your mind. Yeah, we should be Bhakti Vedanta, not Vedanta Bhakti. It is not that our mind should take us over. Yeah. So in that sense, we should have absolute faith in the words of Srimad Bhagavatam. We should have absolute faith in the words of Guru. We should have absolute faith in the words of the Shastras, and carry on all our activities very, very diligently. So I will end our conversation here. If there are any questions that you may have, I'll be happy to answer them. And if there are any corrections, please go ahead and make the corrections. And if there is nothing, then we will stop our class. We will end the conversation. We will end our katha here on this beautiful verse, two verses, verse number 39 and 40 of 29th chapter of 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the conversation between Mother Devahuti and Kapila Muni. Okay, thank you very much for your patient hearing. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you very much, everybody. Hare Krishna.